morning, class. This is a bit different than what we usually do as a group. And first of all, I'm going to tell you right now, I am so nervous, so be nice to me. But I think some people here are also nervous because we're doing something that you probably haven't picked up in a couple of decades. And so we're going to help each other through this, if that's at all possible. There's a little bit of a methodology that I've got here, and compass work is, people do their PhD on this. We could study this forever and ever. Every bit of knowledge builds on previous knowledge. So we're going to do this in chunks, and the way we're going to do it is I've divided it into 3 projects. Today we're going to do wreaths because Christmas is coming, and that's a fun project to do. And then, so here's one wreath that I made. Here's a different one that I made. There, I think, is that the way, right way up? Yep. In the workshop, we're going to do this. So in the first one, we're just trying to get letters in a circle and get used to the whole idea of this circular pattern and writing in a circle. Okay. The second one is, how do we make that perfectly into a circle? How can you get your words so that it matches bang on? And then the third one is, okay, I've learned all that. Let's, and you've got people who are Islamic and the Celts and all the different people have come up with different ways of using their compass to create art. And this is a Celtic design. I did it this way because I wanted to show you that it's broken down into 6 pieces. So we're going to go from simple today to a little bit harder, and then the hardest. Make sense? Okay. Okay. So these are the 2 projects that we're going to do today, and you're going to come up with your own original design. I don't want you to do exactly what I did because we're here, we're artists, we want to make art. We're not copying someone's formula to do something. So I wanted to show that just with the really simple stuff that we can do some very powerful things. So these are the 2 that I came up with. This is Christmas, and I apologize to anyone who doesn't celebrate the holidays. This one gave me a little bit of stress because I started getting into that mindset. But, it's kind of fun and funky, and I had my letters moving. This one is much more traditional. My font is traditional font. I've kept things tight and very even. I've put together a little slideshow of about 6 other people's work, which Caroline has. Yeah, let's do that now. So this artist, she just did something very simple. She drew 2 circles. She put the bird in, and she just wrote something in quite a freehand look. So, and it's kind of got a country vibe to it. Okay. This artist has gone much more closer to what I did with the snowflake. They've kept the traditional italic handwriting, and she's added some. I'm guessing they used a pilot pen to make the wreath.
Does look like that.
Yeah, yeah. This guy is so cool. He does all this filigree work, and he just took a couple of. He was highlighting the letter M. So this gentleman, he's from France, and he just, played with the curves, put his center motif in it. He played with the size of the font, and you get a very almost graphic design to it. Well, all of these are quite graphic. This lady just took segments and put writing on different segments. I think she's in Russia. And she had her segments almost like a Celtic knot where she had the pieces weaving in and out.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Here someone's doing something, you know, contemporary. He's using quite jagged lines. He's, one of the things I wanted to point out is, see his ascenders and descenders? He's kind of exaggerating them and going into different spaces. And we're going to talk about these because these are all design elements. And if you think of these design elements, your project will be stronger. Very traditional. Someone obviously was, you know, looking at some old stuff and tried to reproduce it. Yeah, yeah. Well, that's what we're learning. That's how they designed the stained glass. Like the rose window in Notre Dame, this is how they did it. And this one too, again, he just played with the shapes, cut it out, had some fun. And I think that's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
8 slides. Okay.
Okay. So keep all of those in mind, because you know what? I really encourage you to play. And I wouldn't have learned anything if I hadn't made tons and tons of mistakes and just played. My geometry is basic high school geometry. I had to relearn it because I hadn't picked up my compass for a long time either. So it's the parts of the circle. So a circle is a geometric form where every point going from the center to the outside is exactly the same. You know this, but it's good to remember this because it will help you figure things out. The diameter goes through it. It goes through the center point, and it is 2 times the radius, okay? Very interesting point for us as a calligraphers. There's an imaginary line on this side. Well, not in some cases it's not imaginary, but there's a line that goes on this side and it's called the tangent. The tangent can only touch the circle at one point. It is always 90 degrees to either the radius or the diameter. And the reason that is an important point is because when you're writing, our letter forms, if you looked at our letter forms, they're kind of always in a box, and we're fitting these little boxes around a circle. So if you imagine that that's the top of your box, you know how to start fitting your letters in. Does that make any sense? Yeah, okay. A line segment, if we take a part of the circle, that's called an arc, okay? And that's all you need to know for the next 2 workshops. You don't need to know any other terms, and if people throw them at you, you don't need to know that right now.
I can do that.
Yeah, yeah, well, that's what I want. I want everyone to know, because I think as women, we're taught we can't do math, and it pisses me off, to be honest. It really does, but it's really simple. If we just sat back and looked at it, it's really, really simple. Okay, first thing, get out your compass. And I want you to look at it and tell me if your point is sharp on your pencil. If your point isn't sharp, the way I fix it, when you get your compass set, they give you these little leads, and it looks like they've guillotined it, and I'm fascinated to know how they do that. They cut it on an angle. I don't know where to buy those, and I don't really care. So what I do is I take my mechanical pencil, where is it? Here, my mechanical pencil, and I just take my mechanical pencil sharpener, sharpen it, snap off, and put it back into my compass. Okay.
So your mechanical pencil sharpener is different from a regular sharpener?
It is. It's meant specifically for this size of lead.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where can you get those?
any art store, I'm sure Staples sells it.
Definitely iron oxide. She has a lot of drafting materials in there.
Yeah.
The university, because they do drafting
I was gonna
courses.
say, I can't swear, but Staples does have a little Stabler section.
I'm sure they're there because high school
Yeah,
kids
and
have got to
so
use
they
them.
probably have these.
Yeah.
And the university store too.
Okay. So does anyone not have a sharp pencil point on their? And I'll tell you why. You don't? Okay, let me give you a piece. There you go. I don't want to trip on the cords.
Yeah,
like
trip
I'm
on the
doing.
cord.
Yeah,
Does anybody need a compass? I know that
there was it.
there's quite a few extras if you do. Yeah,
Okay.
Linda Yachak has extras and
Yeah,
Do you ever use these for sharpening?
it's
I
sandpaper.
have, but seems to me kind of time consuming. I'm bored. I just want to do something fast. And it occurred to me that this was the fastest way because I'm always in a hurry to get to the next step. There we go. Over here. Okay.
You have to be the same height as the other.
Yep, yep. So let's just keep on the point about the point. The reason you want a sharp point is because everything in geometry is one measurement based off the last measurement. And you know that when you do things tag team, if something's out by a little bit, then the next one gets allowed a little bit more, and then the next one gets out even more. And then by the time you're halfway through your design, nothing matches up. So if you have a really sharp pencil, you always know exactly where things cross. You always know where things are happening. Okay, so the next step is, they tell you this in high school, you take your compass, you take your compass, close it up, and you roughly want your lead to be equal to the point. Uh-oh, and I've tightened mine so much that I can't. There we go. So just about equal. It's not critical. I'm lazy and it's not been absolutely accurate and it still works. But traditionally you make it equal. Okay. Next step. Let's make some circles. So the point is always going to be exactly in the center of your circle. Put your compass on your paper, hold it by the knob at the top or by this arm. Don't hold it by this arm, okay? Especially in cheaper compasses, anything, if you jerk it, it will get your alignment out and your circles won't match up. So holding it either by the top or by here, drop your lead and you can draw a circle. Can you see that? Should have put a felt marker in here. Can people see this, or I'm going to put a felt marker in?
They should be able to see it.
You see that? Okay.
Yeah, I think people
okay.
can see it, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So do a couple of those. Let's do using, and this is just a tip for yourself. That point in the middle is hard to find again. So just put a little X through it. And then you'll always know where your point is. So going back into the same hole, I can make it smaller, and I can make another circle. And that circle, that distance between those two lines is exact, and it always will be. So now you, as calligraphers, you're starting to go, oh, that's exact. That means that I could do an X height in those two lines, right? So you could add a descender line and an ascender line. Okay, now I'm going to throw a monkey curve at you guys. Some of those ones that I showed you, they they had partial lines or partial circles. And when we do the Celtic knot, we're going to draw with a felt marker partial circles. So just stab your compass somewhere in the picture, in the center of your circle, and line up the point of your compass exactly where it meets one of your circles. Can you see that? There you go.
You say that again, yeah.
See that? I've got my point somewhere in the middle, and I've got the point of the compass hitting one of my lines. I want to make an arc around here and have it start and stop so it exactly hits that line.
How did you decide when to put the?
You know what? I'm just doing what ifs.
Putting it
I'm just doing a random spot. All I want to do is be able to draw an arc that goes up and around and touches, but doesn't cross the line. So this is a dexterity thing. So start your compass on the top. Now, this is the only time you break your rule. I'm putting all the weight on the point. But I'm taking my hand and I'm guiding the compass slowly, slowly. I'm getting close to the line and stop. Does that make sense?
What radius are you using?
I just used I made up a radius. I just, this is more of a technique thing, like how do you control starts and stops? So we can do it again. So here I'm gonna just touch here, start my line, but as I get closer, I'm just gonna use my finger to stop it so it doesn't cross the line. Because it's really hard when you're doing it from the top not to cross the line. And you just get a tiny bit more control over it. Just touch it, yeah. Does that make sense? I know I'm hearing people saying I can't do this. This is hard. And it is hard. The first time I did a Celtic knot, I did a lot of erasing.
So are you widening the compass at all?
I just made up a new.
Okay, so you want that.
Do you just see, I just want to be able to go from make sure I can start wherever I want to start and stop wherever I want to stop. And we're just learning where we would put the weight on the compass and how we would direct that arm so that we have control. Because once you have a felt marker, there's no erasing it, right? Okay. A question or a point that we should probably think about is what kind of lead, what's the weight? I use a 2B. It's easy, I find it's easy to erase. It's dark so that when I'm doing all my measurements and stuff, I can see what I'm doing. And then once I've finalized my design, I can erase it. So, you don't want to press hard. Like if you're starting to press hard, you're going to see those lines in your final design. And this is all framework. Everything you do is framework, and then later you're going to erase it. Yeah. Could be one of two things. I suspect it's the compass fault. If your compass is not a really good compass, it starts to wobble and the line gets jaggedy. Otherwise, it's just your hand. You're just getting, you have to practice and get the flow of it.
Also, I think when you're using a pencil rather than the lead,
Yep.
you end up with that extra bit of pencil wobble.
Oh, is that how you've got it? You've got a pencil attached in it? Yeah. Tighten your screw. See if you're, let's try to take some of that. Yeah. Okay. Practice. Do you want to try someone else's compass to see if that, okay. So that's the basics. Now you know everything to make a wreath. So let's talk about, I'm a florist, and so when I think of wreaths, I think of it from a floral design kind of perspective. And I have come up with this thing that no other florist does, but it has stood me really, really well. And it's called fillers, it's called thrillers, fillers, and spillers. And think of this as, we're gonna start applying this to other designs, because this works for all design work. If I do a painting, I think of this. If I do anything, I use this methodology. But let's start with how I do it in floral design. Bride comes to me, she says, I want you to do a wedding. And I say, of course, first question, oh, what kind of flower do you want to use? And she's always going to say peonies. These days, all the kids want peonies. Okay, so that's your thriller. She already knows that. If I took a whole bunch of peonies and put them together, I'd make a dome kind of shaped design. And you sitting at the table would look at that and go, oh my God, I love peonies, they're so pretty. Isn't that nice? And then you wouldn't look at it again. If I took my peonies and I said, I'm going to add things to it, those are the fillers. Those are the things that you can put in between that elevate the thriller. And so you might add lavender for scent and color, or you might add some greenery or something else. It doesn't take the center stage, but it makes the thriller more exciting. So that, you've all seen that. You've seen flower designs where they all look like that. The thing that elevates you to what I call a New York design is when you have spillers. When you take things where the different elements of your design and you have something that is unexpected. It could be those big long twigs that you see people shooting off in the space. You've got your flower design, and then you've got those big long twigs coming out of it, and it shoots into space, and that's a thriller. Or you might have something, grasses coming down, and it connects the vase, and the whole design suddenly becomes very unified. Okay. Follow me so far? Okay. You're asking, why am I talking about this? Well, when I first joined the group, I figured out that I had to learn how to use watercolors. And being a florist, I was going to practice my watercolors, and I made a wreath. And this was and I made this wreath based on my knowledge as a florist. So now I've taken a three-dimensional design and I've put it in 2 dimensions. This is what we're doing, right? In this design, can you tell me what my thriller is? The rose hips. You know, I chose the color, they stand out. That's the first thing. And the reason was I was walking the dog and I saw these great rose hips and I really wanted to paint those. So my fillers are the grasses. Okay, or not the grasses, I should say, the leaves. Okay?
The twiggy bits.
The twiggy bits, those are spillers. Those are the spillers.
So the basis of this design was 2 circular lines?
It is, it's just 2 circular lines. I took my compass, I drew 1 circle. In fact, the wreath that you can see in the background is where the 2 lines are. And then I started adding my thriller, my fillers, and my spillers. If you took that out, those spillers out, it's a really boring design. But as soon as I add that, I've got movement, I've got more dynamic, it's more interesting. Texture. So this is when I make things, I tend to use this over and over again. So that's my philosophy on thrillers, fillers, and fillers.
Beautiful.
Okay, let's make a wreath. Okay. First of all, we're calligraphers, the most important thing is going to be your quote. From your quote, your quote will tell you tons of things. So in this example, it's all about snow, the quote. So the parts that went with it were snowflakes. This one, it was Feliz Navidad. Okay. Decide how you're going to decorate it. So we're going to put some words in there, and am I going to be formal? How am I going to do this? Or, add something casual? Am I going to add something less casual? Are you going to decorate your lettering? Because there's lots of different things you can do. And Judy showed once that, we could take letters and we can, start to do some interesting things with them. So sorry, I keep thinking. I was going to do We Wish You a Merry Christmas on one of my examples, and I was just playing around. So in this part here, I put some gold in there. I'd check to see if what would it look like if I shadowed it with green. Here I put dots in to see if it was like a New Year's party. At one point I thought I was going to do one for my sister-in-law. She's a Grinch fanatic, so I thought I would do You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch, and then have Christmas lights going around it. So I'm just playing around. I could put a border on it. But did you see, even when I'm doing it, trying to figure out what I'm going to write, I'm already thinking, can I do something to decorate it? Can I go out of the space, the band where I'm thinking it's going to be, so that things start to look more unified? Okay, so once you've decided what you're going to write, choose your nib, choose your font. It's much easier to do an upright font to start with, and I would ask that for this project, everyone try an upright font. And the reason is that when you're writing, it's different than writing on a straight line. You have to always think of where is the center of my design. So I'm going to write my F, there's the center. There's the E, there's the center. This one I actually played around with a bit. So it started initially with me writing it out on straight lines and figuring out where those straight lines are going to be, and then translating it into a curve. How are we doing for time? Are we good? Okay. 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 So this is good because you guys will get a chance to actually start something. Okay. So when you're drawing your circle, I like to first find the center of my page. And you know this, but you've probably forgotten. To find the center of the page, you take your ruler, go from corner to corner. Draw just a line, generally where you think the center is going to be. Okay, and then you do the opposite corner, corner to corner. Where they've crossed here, that is exactly in the center of your page. It doesn't matter if you've cut your paper on an angle, it doesn't matter if it's rectangular, square, that will always be exactly the center. Okay. Now we're going to draw a line. So measuring from my point, my cross that I've made, to the edge of my paper, in my case it's 4 1/4. Just going to go over here, measure up 4 1/4. Can you measuring up 4 1/4. Make a tick. Now I have a line that's parallel to the bottom of the piece of paper that goes through the center. So you've made your cross in the center. Have you done that? Okay. So measure down from that cross to the edge of your paper. In my case, it's 4 1/4 inches. I'm just 4 1/4 inches. See that? Make a similar measurement on this side. I just measured up from 4 1/4. Then connecting the two points, I can make a line. Because you can make a line, like all you to make a line is you need 2 points. And that, remember that always, because.
I keep looking down at the paper, it's kind of confusing.
Okay.
Where are you trying to make a line to?
So I want to make a line that goes parallel to the bottom of the page.
Oh, okay, fine.
Yeah. But I want it to go through the center.
What do you need, huh?
Oh. So, are we at that point? Is everyone there? Okay. What's that? That's cool. I know these are, a compass is just a ruler.
I tell you what, you can't beat a quilting ruler for getting parallel lines too.
Exactly,
Like they're
exactly. Just use whatever you've got, right? Okay. Everyone with me?
I'm just checking that they're okay.
No.
You
Anyone
okay?
need help?
Are you okay? You getting it? So the center of your circle should be halfway between here and here. But halfway, oh, it's okay.
And then she's doing angles, I see. The angles
Yeah,
going
so
up, but I can hardly see them, that's the problem.
Okay, yeah.
So probably
So the center of your circle would be here, yeah.
Does she have a circle? I don't even see a circle there.
Yeah, it's hard to see, yeah.
You know what, I'm gonna,
Going like this.
Yeah, you don't need all those lines, you just need the center of your circle there. That was just to find the center of your paper. So just put the center of your circle in the middle there and draw your circle. Chris, you might need a darker pencil because
Yeah, I know, that's what I'm
we
thinking.
can't see the circle from back there.
yeah.
It is difficult to see.
She did an angle, right? Yeah. Oh, I see, yeah, this is not working with mine, yeah.
Here, yeah, longer one, yeah. Yeah, that was step one, to find the exact center of your paper. But you don't need to, I
know exactly what you mean.
I'm just like doing a circle and I'll figure it out later.
And I measure up 5 inches, and that's where I do my horizontal. I can turn the paper and do the same thing again. This isn't 5 inches, so. I just folded mine. I'm not obviously
That's really square.
Is that clearer when I do that? Okay. Yeah.
How many things, do you have a circle drawn up there?
Do I have a circle drawn up there? Nope, no circles yet.
Now, for the sake of this demonstration, could you just sharpen everything that you have?
I know, I just put my felt marker on here.
You okay? I think everybody's already lost a little bit.
I am a little bit lost. Okay. I still don't know how to draw an arch. I'm hoping it doesn't come out.
No, we will, we will. I just want everyone to catch up because I think people are having just
Just checking everybody's keeping up. Yeah, you're okay.
parallel line to the bottom, yeah.
So what's next?
Okay, we ready?
Yeah.
Oh, no, we're still waiting.
Go ahead.
This is, you guys know this, but it's been a long time since everyone's done this, so it's, you know, you have to refresh yourself. How did I do that? 20, 30 years ago. Maybe, yeah. So, yep. When I went to school, geometry was really emphasized, so. Okay, ready to go? Okay. Decide how big your circle is going to be. So I've opened my compass. I'm really close to the edge of my paper, but this is just my rough draft, so I don't care. It gives me the maximum size. So putting my point in the center, just see the point is in the center, just draw a circle. Nope, just do it. This is going to be the maximum size of our wreath. Okay? So we're going to pretend we're going to make this wreath because this has more lines on it. And so you'll just see how I put all the ascender and descender lines in, okay? But it's the exact same process for the Feliz Navidad. It's just that I only need an ascender and a descender. I don't need all the extra. So first of all, I had to decide where I was going to start my lettering. So I'm going to find another dark pen so that you can. I think I'm going to start my lettering somewhere around here. I'm thinking I wanted roughly 2/3 of the circle, and I'm going to start it. I think I want to start the writing somewhere around there, okay? So all I do is draw a line from my center point up to this, okay? And that's telling me, yep, so it's a radius. We've drawn basically a diameter with our first line, and now we're drawing a radius, okay? Now I need to know where my ascenders and descenders are. When I did this, I know that I did it 5 millimeters was my, and I do work always in metric. When you're doing geometry, always work in metric. The imperial system's based on fractions. It'll explode your brain. If you work in metric, it's so much easier. Okay, so this is 5 millimeters, and I've basically got one ascender line, 2 for the bottom of the baseline. I'm sorry, 1 for the ascender line, 1 for the bottom of the baseline. I've shared the space in between the writing, and the reason is I wanted the design to be unified. If I put a lot of space in there, it's going to read far apart, but I wanted it to be more unified, so I condensed it so that your eye is drawn to that block of lettering. So I'll need one line for here, I'll need another line for here, third one there, fourth there, fifth there, and sixth there. Okay, makes sense? Okay. Let's go to our drawing. I know that these are 1/2 millimeter apart, so I just make a ticky for, so I've got my first line is already drawn in with my circle, my second, my third, my fourth, my fifth, and my sixth. Okay? Now I take my compass.
So 6 lines for 3 lines of text.
Yeah, one for the top, one for the bottom, like the bottom of the X height, right? The top and bottom of the X height. Do you understand what I'm kind of saying? So there's 3 lines of writing. One for the top of the X height, one for the bottom of the X height, and again and again. And I've practiced this on my draft paper because I want to know where my ascenders and descenders and where all that's gonna, if I'm gonna run into problems, right?
How do you figure out the space between the lines?
I made it up.
You just have to do practices.
You
with
practice
pen
it, and this
size.
is why we're doing a draft, because there are, things go wrong, and you know, this is art, and so you may, like I think I did this one 4 or 5 times before I decided, okay, that's what I like, and it worked out. Okay?
So, you got your diameter, shape diameter?
Yep.
And the first line under the X height is not the ascender height?
So we've drawn out the radius.
Yeah.
So this is the ascender height is this one here. This is the descender. So here I can basically, let's just do this.
So the tops of your letters, like an H, will come outside that first
Exactly. And
Okay.
there's my thriller,
Sorry,
right?
thank you.
Because then you can start using your thrillers, because now we're going outside of our space. We could exaggerate that, and all of a sudden we're starting to unify things, right?
Okay, sorry, I missed. Thank you.
No, but it's a good question, and that's my thinking behind it.
Now, just to clarify, you said your ascenders will go outside of the,
The space circumference of the circle. So if you want to go really big, you know, or like it's,
so your first mark
yeah,
is the bottom of your X height.
yeah.
Okay.
Here, I want to show you this one. When I did this one, see, I really started to exaggerate with my ascenders and descenders because I really wanted to start to play into this space here, this negative space. And here, my ascender goes beyond and it starts to connect with this outer band because I wanted that connection too. And it's all,
Painted the blue rings just with 2 lines.
yeah. We're going to do this in the workshop, but yeah, that's how it went. But that's the thrillers. That's the stillers. You're starting to think about ways of unifying your design.
So we should have 6 lines.
We got 6 little tickies. Okay, take your compass, put the point back in the center, adjust the angle so that it hits. It's hard for me to show it on the camera. So just about there. See that? And that's one of the things I do is I just make a trial tick to see if I actually go through the line. And then I'm thinking roughly 2/3. We don't know exactly where our rating is going to end, but so we'll do maybe roughly 2/3.
Poked a hole in the middle of my paper by now.
I will teach you how to fix that. And again, and you just do it for all of them. So you should end up something with like that. Okay? Yeah, put a little X for where you know your X, because I've done that too. I start writing and I put it up the X height in the wrong spot. So I just put a little X there.
Yeah, I'm just doing one line of text. I'm just doing that, so I'm just saying one line of text.
Yeah.
But I screwed up a word because I've got that wide over there. I didn't go over there. My precision was always off.
Spaces in between those lines,
Are all the spaces in between what?
those lines that you've done, the arches that you've
Yep,
done,
yep.
evenly spaced.
They are. They're all 5 millimeters apart, because I marked off on here 5 millimeters apart for each one. And the compass should take care of everything else. Is it working?
Yeah, I did what I thought the X height would be, and then I put a random space between, and then the X height, and then the same random space.
You could do that, absolutely. Okay. Are we all there? Push on? Okay. Well, basically, you know everything you need to know. Honestly, oh no, sorry. One step that we've forgotten. When you're writing and you've got, your practice sheets, like when I print off my practice sheets, they give me lines to kind of tell me where my angle is, right? It's harder when you're writing on a circle because it changes. Every letter changes as you go around. But we know, because we've talked about this, is that every time I draw a radius, it's 90 degrees to the top. So now I can,
Say that again.
every time I draw a radius, this line right here, it's 90 degrees to the top of where it crosses the line. So it's 90 degrees. What's that?
Need a protractor.
Nope. No, you already know that. You've got everything you need there. So you know that when you're putting your, I don't know how I'm gonna try to put a thicker line here. When if I've got a line here, I know that this is 90 degrees to there, right? So if I'm writing an A, I'm maintaining that 90 degrees. Then I turn my paper.
Oh, I see, 90 degrees for each letter.
Every
I thought
letter
we were dissecting
changes.
the circle.
No, we're not going to dissect the circle today. This is enough to start with. So all you need to do is give yourself lots of reminders of where 90 degrees is. So I just randomly take my ruler, match it to the center of the page, and just draw a line. Okay? And so every time I'm writing a letter, I know how it's changing. That 90-degree angle is changing as I'm writing. I just do this throughout. I need lots of reminders, so I put in lots. Because you're thinking about a lot of things when you're writing out your text, and then when you do this, if you choose to do this, you want to take away as many things that you have to think about as possible. It's far easier to put in a lot of guidelines than to be guessing, was this right? Was that right? So for this exercise, I'm going to ask you to not pick a hand that is on an angle. So don't try copperplate or italics. That I did an upright italics. Don't do the, you know, I guess John Stevenson says you do 9 degrees off. Don't do that because it's doable, but it's something to think about. This is your first time you've done this, and you just want to get used to writing your text on an angle, and you're going to have to change your page. With each letter, change your page as you go along. Clear as mud? I encourage people to figure out what you want to write, and just start playing with it. Start trying to figure out what you want to do. At the bottom of my handout, I have some suggestions because I've put you on the spot. By the way, there's a drawing. This drawing is again in the back of your handout, and all of these steps are written out for you. So when you go home and you go, well, what the heck did she do? Well, it's written out for you. So on page 5, possible quotes, I did Feliz Navidad, Merry Christmas, Joyeux Noel. You could do a few lines from A Christmas Carol, we wish Merry Christmas or whatever. I gave you the excerpt that I did for this one, the snow one, which is listed there by Claude McKay. So start writing out your text. Okay? Once you've written out your text, think about how you want to integrate your design. So the other half of it, you're going to freeform it. See here, I've purposely made things cross over. I didn't stop it right here and then have snowflakes start there, because you want to unify everything, okay? And you also, here's a little random snowflake that's out of my circle. So there's my, a spiller. It makes it more interesting. It makes it more dynamic. I played with my...
It's actually spilling.
It's actually spilling.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you can see it more in the other one. Here's my ascenders are going right into my space. This one, I did a more funky kind of thing. I just, I made up a font and I had it dancing over 2 parallel lines. So rather than doing 6, I just did 2. And as I'm writing, I'm just sketching in where each letter falls. Then when I came to filling in the wreath part, it's where I put my florist hat on. I made a focal point, and I had my greenery radiating out from that focal point. I made sure that I had spillers, so things that went outside of the lines. I made sure that there was connection between those elements there. And then the other thing I did to connect everything is I put these little, I don't know if you can you see the dots? Yeah. The dots are throughout the whole design, and without the dots, it didn't look unified. As soon as I put the dots in, everything started to unify. And this is where the play part comes in. You've got a practice sheet that you're doing. Write out what you want to do, and then sketch in what you want this part to do. And you will mess up. Like when I started doing this, I thought, I want to do something Spanish. The Spanish are, they're so fun. And I did this as my practice sheet. And I got my Feliz Navidad, fine. And then I had this really formal looking wreath that I started to draw in that didn't really suit it. So I've made my mistake, okay, I can redo this quickly. Because once I've done this, I could put this part on my light box and transfer it to a new drawing really fast. And then put my next try, and that's where I went with much more informal, kind of fun kind of design. Any questions?
Yes.
Is there too much?
The question is,
Yep.
are we doing this text on like straight lines first, or are we fitting it in the circular lines first?
I always do my text in straight lines first because I want to get a feel for the quote.
Okay.
Because the way the quote looks, like and you guys know this, like the hand changes the feeling of the overall quote. So I usually do it first of all. And also it starts to let me know, you know, where ascenders and descenders are and if things are going to be messy.
Okay.
And then I translate that into the curve. So I invite you to try it. Yeah.
So your program or your next thing we're going to do is next Tuesday on the 19th?
That's right.
And where is that going to be?
That's going to be at the, yeah,
Yeah,
Stratford's room.
the Stratford Room. There we are, going to Shakespeare next time.
just over there.
Yeah,
Made the
right.
barn.
Or it's going to be on Zoom.
Or it's going to be on Zoom.
Can we see your roses again?
Yeah. So that, if I were to do it again, I'd make some improvements to the design, but
You do what?
improvements to the design. I, after looking at it for a while, I think I can do better. But,
Great.
What do you do about the hole in the middle?
okay. Turn your paper over. For this one, I did everything on a rough piece of paper and I transferred it with a light box, so there was no hole. If you do have it, turn your piece of paper over. If you have a bone folder or something like that, because what you've done is you've taken all the fibers and you've pushed them aside. And so what you're going to do is take your bone folder and push the fibers back into the hole. Now, the only thing that is a little bit problematic is if you've made an X through it or you've drawn a line through it, you've got a little bit of lead in there. It will take some doing to get that lead out because it's in the hole. So you have to kind of push it out and then use your eraser to get rid of the lead.
Okay, so I have to look at it. No secret formula.
No, there's no secret formula to any of this.
So with the, can you put it back up again?
Yep.
With the lovely vines that you've done the trick, did you do that after you've drawn the foliage and the hieroglyphics? Or did you do that?
No, how did I do it? I think I do everything at the same time. So I think I start,
Around like that?
yep, I did this on a scrap piece of paper and these are my thrillers. So I try to group them in such a way, because groups are stronger than standalone. So I try to make some groups. I had some that were standalones to make it more interesting. And then I started adding my foliage. I added some holly because I kind of thought, well, maybe I'll frame this and put it out at Christmas. It's watercolor. And then as I'm going, I'm looking at the design and I'm going, what's missing? What's missing? So I want something going off here, so I would draw on a twig. But because it's all in pencil, as I'm going along, I would erase things. If I didn't like it, I'd erase it. And
So I like how you've you feathered the cedar bough out to the, where it's dark by the wreath and then it gets like.
They're in the background, yeah.
Yeah, how you done that?
Thank you. Yeah, I wanted it I didn't want it to be dominant, so I want it to recede in the space.
Yeah, so that is perspective, so that pulls it back.
Yep, yep. And I put an X on the top of my page, figured out where the light was coming from, and because I wanted my wreath to be somewhat bent, so I made sure that there was more tone in the sides of the wreath.
When you're doing a good copy and your hand is dragging through all the way the top line, is that just like you just have to wait and patient?
You have to wait for your ink to dry.
Okay.
I've seen Harvest Cricket, and she has some sort of little device, or someone's made her a plank of wood and then put little spacers underneath it that's maybe 5 centimeters underneath, and she rests her hand on there so that she never, because as you're writing with your ink, you do go through your own, so you have to, thank goodness it dries fast, and I've done this, and I've taken the blow dryer out, and yeah.
It needs to go in a frame for the show.
There's no rating on it. There's no rating on it. And I won't put rating on it. I decided I didn't want rating on it.
Less is more.
Yeah. Well, this is my dog walking wreath. These are the things that because I'm new to BC, these are the things that I see while I'm walking along the river with the dog. And I'm fascinated by the different things I see here.
What's nice about it is the subtlety of the red. It's not the vibrant, typical red holly there. It's subtle.
Well, I wanted and holly can come in a different color, so I wanted it to recede. I wanted the berries, because I just found all those different colors, like I was taking so many pictures of rose hips, and there's purple in there, and there's yellow in there, and there's green in there, and there's just a zillion different colors that are in there.
The dead twigs are nice.
I like dead twigs.
Just for the last few minutes,
Yeah.
because I think a number of us are going to be taking your course.
Yep.
Do you want to just specifically talk about what
Yep.
you're thinking of?
Yeah, so if you are taking the course, Judy suggested that I write out the words. We're going to do the alphabet. Where's my drawing, my thing? We're going to do the alphabet. She suggested that I write out the alphabet and you guys could copy me, but I think that's really hard. So if you want to do some pre-work, could you please write out the alphabet one of two ways? So one is for the outer ring. One is in an upright font in a big hand. So a tall, bigger. And just do it in linear lines on your page. Okay? Because whatever you do here, we're going to copy this exactly onto the circle. And then do the second one for your smaller one. The smaller one was really small, and I did the alphabet twice. But I only needed to do this part, the pre-work. I'm doing this upside down again. The pre-work once.
So you want us to write it out straight?
Yep, exactly like this. And I can send this to you guys so that you kind of see what I want, but it's just. I'm going to bring this with me, and if you want to copy what I've done, you can, but I honestly think it's harder to copy what someone else has done than to copy your own writing.
Are there any more questions before I get
I just have one question.
Yeah.
I'm writing a little poem and it has capital letters,
Yep.
and I haven't really left enough space for capital letters. How did you deal with that?
That's why we're doing it here. So,
I've kind of decided not to do them in the end.
here, see, I did one here. There I pulled that line
Yeah,
out.
okay.
And then I didn't have that problem. Here, this was an awkward spot. And I just made my capital a little squishier and hoped the hell that my
Okay.
F wasn't going to hit it.
I get it. And I realized when I'd done my eye that it should have been taller, and then I just
Yeah.
didn't do them after that because I thought that's
Yeah,
it's
but you see, the first one could be a thriller. Like,
Yeah.
you could make it really tall, like
big eye, yeah.
illuminated writing. Like there's the possibilities of what you could do. with that.
Yes, requires a lot of thought.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I would like to thank Chris for volunteering to do this, because this takes a lot of courage.
Oh, fabulous. Thank you, Chris. It was really good, yeah. And
Well, I hope I made it simple enough for the first time that everyone could follow.
sign up for the class next week. There's still lots of room.
Yep.
Going to be fun.
And you will be amazed. The way I figured out how to make it fit in a circle is dead easy. As soon as I show you, you're going to go, oh.
Thank you, Chris. That was absolutely fabulous.
Was it? Okay,
Yes,
good.
fabulous. Like really, really good. I know.